And finally, the Catholic Church in Egypt expressed its condolences over the death of Pope Francis, who died earlier on Sunday after he delivered the Easter Mass Sunday address. In a statement, the Church said that Pope Francis was a wise religious leader and a consistent defender of the high values of humanity and justice. The Church also described Francis as a major spiritual figure and the tireless champion of the poor. Francis, whose real name was George Bergoglio, was leader of the Catholic Church since March of 2013. And to be shedding more light on the relationship between Egypt and the Vatican, and of course the passing of the Pope Francis, we have over the phone Dr. Freddy Bayady, the member of the Egyptian Parliament. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you for inviting me. It is with deep sadness that I join millions around the world in mourning the passing of His Holiness Pope Francis. Pope Francis was actually more than a religious leader. He was a moral compass for our time, a humble voice for the voiceless and a defender for the weak, in a world that actually often overlooks them. He lived simply, he spoke kindly and acted boldly. He reminds us all that true greatness lies in service, compassion and justice. And actually what made Pope Francis truly remarkable was his unwavering commitment to social justice. He stood with the poor, the marginalized, and the forgotten, not just in words, but in actions. Whether comforting the sick, embracing refugees, or speaking out against economic inequality, he constantly reminded the world that every human being has inherent dignity. His life was a living sermon on mercy, humility, and solidarity. And actually one of the most powerful aspects of his papacy was his clear and courageous support for the Palestinian people.
Yes.
He recognized the right to dignity and self-determination, and he was never afraid to speak truth to power. I will never forget his visit to Bethlehem, where he stopped and prayed at the separation wall, a silent but powerful call for peace and justice. In every moment of conflict, he called for dialogue, ceasefire, and the protection of innocent lives. He stood on the side of human dignity and justice. Today, actually, we grieve. We also give, as we grieve, we also give thanks for a life that reminded us that what moral leadership looks like. Pope Francis shows us that faith must be lived in love, and that love must be shown in justice. He was a light in the darkness, and thought he's gone, his light will continue to guide those of us who believe in a more compassionate, fair, and peaceful world. May his soul rest in peace, and may we honor his legacy and continue his mission to serve the poor, to seek justice, and to never give up on peace.
Yes, Doctor, of course, we have seen as well, you've mentioned the visit to Palestine and Beit Lahma. What about the visit that he conducted to Egypt in 2017 upon an invitation extended by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and following the path of the Holy Family here in Egypt? How did you see it, and how did this strengthen the bilateral relationship between Egypt and the Vatican?
It is a landmark. Of course, his visit to Egypt in 2017 was a landmark, and it emphasized the great relation between Egypt and the Vatican. And I believe it was attracting the whole world attention to the importance of Egypt and the significance of it as a land for the Holy Family visit and as a site for religious tourism. So his visit was actually very important for the whole world and for Egypt also.
Yes, and we have seen the relations, the current relations between Egypt and the Vatican. How would you assess them nowadays under the tenure of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the late Pontiff, Pope Francis?
The relation actually grew stronger during President Fattah al-Sisi's time.
Yes.
And I believe that we have a very good bilateral relations with the Vatican and with their representative in Cairo. And this is actually very important because the Vatican is not only a political area or political representation, but has also a great religious representation for the whole world, being actually the Pope is representing the largest Christian population in the world, the Catholic Church. He has a great significance both on a religious level and also in a political level with his relations to the world nations.
Yes, on the other hand, how would you see the representation of Egypt, the role that is being played by Egypt with the relationship with the Vatican, or during the relationship with the Vatican, as a diplomatic role representing the Arab world? Egypt, with its relationship with the Vatican, is not just representing Egypt or the Middle East, it is representing the Arab world in general. How do you see the importance of this role being played by Egypt nowadays?
It is very important, the role that Egypt is playing in establishing peace in the region during the conflict time is very important, and we need to collaborate with people like the Pope and the Vatican leaders who are actually calling for peace in our region and the whole world. So the relation with Egypt as a diplomatic relation and with the Egyptian institutions, also either the Al-Azhar institution or the Egyptian church, we have a very good connections and cooperation with the Vatican and the leaders of the Vatican.
On the other hand, how do you see the peace initiatives that were launched by Egypt and the Vatican in the Middle East, and the importance of having this bilateral relationship between Egypt and the Vatican when it comes to the Palestinian cause and other crises taking over the Arab region or the Middle East?
It is very significant, having in mind that Egypt is the country that is inside the war zone in the region, and we have our ground connections with all the conflict parties. So the call and the voice of Egypt, which comes inside with the voice of Vatican, which is heard all over the world when the Pope makes a statement, everybody in the world actually pays attention to it because of his representation, of his respect from all the nations. So having peace initiatives actually between both the Vatican and Egypt, it's very strong and significant initiative, and the whole world should actually pay attention and listen to this initiative.
And Doctor, yesterday you were with me in the studio yesterday on the daily debate for the episode of yesterday, and we were speaking about the relationship between Al-Azhar and the Egyptian church, between Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayyib, and Pope Tewodros II. We were celebrating Easter and the other glorious initiatives and the other glorious occasions that took place over the past week in the Christian calendar for the Egyptians in general. But today, how do you see the relationship between Al-Azhar and the Vatican and Pope Francis more specifically over the past years? Because we have seen Grand Imam of Al-Azhar paying tribute and condoling the followers of the Pope of the Vatican.
Yeah, of course, I followed what the statement that was made by the Grand Imam, and I follow the past years also the strong relation and the development of this relation between the two institutions and between the two leaders, the Grand Imam and the Pope, and they actually both represent the largest population of Christians and largest population of Muslims in the whole world. So having these leaders actually developing such relations and making statements and agreeing on the peace initiatives, this is actually very significant and very important to the whole world.
Faith dialogue, as we spoke yesterday, between the relationship of Al-Azhar and the Egyptian church or the Catholic church, can we be doing the same between Al-Azhar and the Vatican?
I believe there is a dialogue already going on between Al-Azhar and the Vatican, and this is actually very, very important. I believe it has started a few years ago, and it is very important and symbolic And as I always mention, that it's important to have a dialogue on the top leaders level, but it's more important to have this dialogue on the ground level, to have the people on the ground level, the people in the community share in different initiatives, work together in volunteer projects, in youth camps, that actually interprets the symbolic dialogue on the leaders level to the ground level.
And Doctor, how would you describe the cultural cooperation between Egypt and the Vatican when it comes to be promoting and speaking more about the way of the Holy Family or the path of the Holy Family project? We were speaking about it yesterday from a touristic level, from a marketing level as well, but today from a religious and a cultural level between Egypt and the Vatican.
I believe this actually, if we were able to market this significant trip of our significant importance of the Holy Family trip to Egypt,
yes,
through our relation with the Vatican, this will actually be so fast spreading to the whole world. Because, as I said, when the Vatican makes a statement or a recommendation, millions of Christians all over the world will be listening and will be actually influenced by this statement. So we need to work more actually on this aspect to attract more tourists to our country to pay their visit for the Holy Family trip in Egypt.
Yes, and Doctor, we have seen the visit conducted by Pope Francis to Egypt in 2017, according to an invitation by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. But in the year 2000, we did see another visit by Pope John Paul II, back then in the year 2000, to Egypt as well. How do you think those two visits would be strengthening the bilateral relationship between Egypt and the Vatican for decades to come? And we could be expecting more visits from the next Pope, who could be elected in the next week.
Yeah, of course, these visits are very important, and I was privileged to attend actually both visits when they were in age with Pope Francis and with Pope John Paul II. Actually, the whole world watched these visits, and whenever the Pope moves to a country or visit, everyone is watching this. So it is important to invite and to have and develop more relations with the Vatican leaders, with the next Pope, to emphasize the role of Egypt as the important peacemaker in the region, as a peaceful country, a welcoming country to everybody, and safe country. It was a safe hub for the Holy Family when they came to Egypt thousands of years ago, and still it is a safe country for everyone who likes to visit and enjoy our country.
Yes, as a member of the Egyptian Parliament, Dr. Freddy, we have seen the stances of Egypt and the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi regarding big, major causes like migration in the Middle East, or the displacement of the Palestinians as well, and the atrocities that are taking place in the Gaza Strip over the past 18 months and maybe 2 years. But how do you see the prospects of rapprochement between the points of view of Egypt and the Vatican regarding those major issues affecting the entire globe?
Actually, the Vatican is one of the important nations, as you call it, a country politically, and the Pope as one of the world leaders. His actual stance and his statements for the Palestinians and the Palestinian conflict was so much aligning with the Egyptian statements and the Egyptian stance, and we should actually invest in those relations and in those countries and world leaders who align with our stance, to promote this actually stance and to promote our statement to the whole world, so that we can change actually the whole atmosphere and the environment of the war and injustice and atrocity that's going on in our region.
Yes, and finally, Doctor, how do you see the prospects of better cooperation between Egypt and the Vatican when the next Pope will be elected after the upcoming week?
I believe now it's time for mourning and paying condolences for the passing of Pope Francis.
Yes.
And I'm sure that with the next days or months, when we see the process of electing a new Pope, Egypt will be sharing in the coming steps and developing more relations, because it is really very important, very significant to keep relations with the world leaders who stick to peace and who call for justice, because actually there are not too many of them in the world these days.
Yes, Dr. Freddy Bayady, the member of the Egyptian Parliament. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate over the phone.